Second Sutta, Welama Sutta, Engl.Text 9, Part 3. This sutta is commented by Ven.Pallegama Samita Maha Thero, great expert in Pali and Dhamma. The text was read by his disciple, Maha Thero. Appamadena bhikkhave sampadeta. Monks, do not delay. Why? Dullabho buddhappado lokasmin. The Buddha rarely appears in the world. Dullabho manusatta patilabho. It is almost impossible to get a human birth. It is next to impossible. Dullabha khana sampatti. The presence of conditions for listening to the Dhamma. Fullness of bodily sensations, the right to conscience is rare. What does this mean? Fullness of bodily sensations means complete body without any defect of the senses, mainly the senses. If the senses are not working, ear, nose, eyes, the tongue, the tasting faculty, the bodily, the sensation, all the five sensations, and the mind. If all these organs are not working well, you cannot understand Dhamma. You can listen to Dhamma. You cannot hear the Dhamma. And the other thing is, if you have all the senses correct, if you are living in not a right place where Dhamma is not allowed, for example, in some religions, they don't allow to listen to some other point of view. So they are wrong. They have wrong views, but there's no liberty to listen to a right view. There are many religions. All the religions are like that. So if you have the right liberty, freedom to listen, not everywhere it is available. So during the Buddha's time, it is free, but still, because there was some segregation, some sections of the people, they didn't have right to listen. The women were not allowed to study education, like that. Dullabha Pabbajja, monasticism, leaving worldly pleasures to become Buddhist monk, is almost unseen. So living as a Buddhist monk is not allowed in some countries. Even in the modern society, so-called civilized world, Buddhist principles are not taken as scientific and very healthy principles. For example, celibacy, living without any sex, it is against Buddhists, against their modern science, healthy life, and not eating in the evening after 12 o'clock is totally against healthy life according to science. Dullabhang saddhamma savanang. It is extremely rare to hear the truth. You can't hear the truth. Even the normal truth you cannot hear. Not to say about the supreme truth, ultimate truth. Dullabho sappurisa sansevo. It is very, very rare you can have communication with the noble people. The sappurisa is the noble, those who have the purified mind. This sutta is mentioned in the Engl.Text 9th Nipata. We call this sutta Welama. This is Welama Sutta. The sutta begins as follows. Once when Buddha was at Savatthi, capital of Kosala, Anathapindika Situ, the rich merchant came to Jetavana to meet the Buddha. The rich merchant, his original name is Sudatta, used to come to the monastery Jetavana twice a day. But for some reason he didn't come for last few days. The reason, as Attakatha says, normally Attakatha is not important, but our teacher quotes sometimes to give some literature, some color to this history, was a goddess who lived in the pandal gateway to his house and was not very happy because she was not a right vision person about donations. So she made him poor in one day. The city was not moved by the loss. He called his workers and family members to collect grass. He had grasslands and sold to the owners of the horses. With that money, he prepared dana, that very poor dana, but because broken rice with kadihodi, gravy of boiled rice itself. On that occasion, Buddha gave a story which happened long time ago. there was a Brahmana called Welama. That Brahmin thought, I have a lot of wealth, I should donate alms. But there was no Buddhism at that time. So whom these donations be given to? Just to the ordinary mundane people in the village. How did they give these dana donations away? He gave gold those who came asking for gold. He gave silver to those who came asking for silver. Elephants decorated with golden chains and ornaments. Also decorated horses, decorated chariots, carpeted and cushioned. Not only that, he donated full set of clothes required for a man and woman. Should I say how much food and drinks he donated? Even though this much was given, Brahmin Welama was not satisfied of the amount given as donation. So thinking so, the Brahmin decided to give away all the possessions, whatever in his house, telling the people to take whatever they like. So Buddha said, Situ Tumani, he addressed the Situ, you may think that the Brahmin Welama was someone else. Don't think so. This Brahmin Welama was same me at that time as a bodhisattva. But if this Brahmin were to offer a single meal to a monk who achieved Sotapanna path of fruition, Magga or Phala, it would be worth more than all the offerings he has ever made so far, Buddha said. Comparison. Alms given to one Sakradagami noble monk is more beneficial and more fruitful than 100 Sotapanna noble monks. One Anagami, if you give, is greater and more beneficial than 100 Sakradagami. If you give one Arahant, it is more fruitful and more beneficial than 100 Anagami. If you give dana to one Pacceka Buddha, it is more beneficial and more fruitful than 100 Arahant noble monks. If you give alms given to one Samma Sambuddha, it is more fruitful and more beneficial than 100 Pacceka Buddha. That's a greater act than act of alms giving one Bhojan Dana to Samma Sambuddha. That is the greatest private dana, that is alms giving to noble Sangha, community of fully or partially liberated monks headed by Samma Sambuddha. Such a donation we do normally today in our houses called Sangika Dana. Buddha Pamukassa Bhikkhu Sanghassa is a donation made to the Buddha of the world, the Arahants and other noble practitioners, more valuable than a personal donation to the Buddha. And there is a greater act than act of alms giving to noble Sangha, community of fully or partially liberated monks headed by Samma Sambuddha. That is donation of a room or just accommodation to any Sangha coming from various directions. Word Sangika means all offered things belong to those noble ones. There is no other hidden meaning of that. These vihara don't belong to anyone else, even though some think that these are their properties, with documentary proofs like deeds and so many things. But they are just stories only. If this temple is Sangika, then it is Sangika. This rare explanation concerns the true owners of the property, temples, monasteries, lands, viharas, donated by people in the name of the Buddha and the Sangha, noble community. Those who become monks are not permitted. They have no right to use food, pindapata, clothing, chivara, dwellings, senasana, etc. donated to the Buddha and the noble Sangha unless she is at least a Buddhist, a follower of the Buddha. But because of ignorance, people do feel they are secured by money, friends, children against sickness, disability, in old age and death. A wise only feels helpless and seek refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and becomes a Buddhist. It's Welama Sutta, part 3. Welama Sutra has become very controversial. Some people think that even it is not the Buddha's word in Sri Lanka and some countries. Because the explanation that Sangika Dana is a controversial subject. Because in many countries, some puja, for example, donation of Atapirikara, for example, 8 needs of a monk, is considered as a very great karma. They call it kusala even. So these are not correct. Actually, this is a lie made by some people who cannot be called monks. So this tradition is going on because it is a very profitable thing to sell Atapirikara. So now this Sangika Dana, this just Bhojana Dana, is always supported by a Atapirikara. So always my teacher says that this is not Buddha's teaching. During the Buddha's time, there was no gifting of Atapirikara. Atapirikara means 8 deeds of the monk. So this tradition is going on. And another thing is there's Vasava's time, there's a tradition to give a chivara. It is made by the people who invited the Bhante to stay 3 months. This is also called as one of the greatest karma. But in the Welama Sutta, it is nothing said like that. See? So this Welama Sutta is always controversial compared to these traditional lies. So because the Buddhist religion is based on lies, because the temples are they live on these things, because Atapirikara selling is a business, all this Katina is a business. So we invite monks to stay during the Vasava's time. We invite monks to stay in one place for 3 months. This is a joke actually, because my teacher says when the people, it is a difficulty to tell Viharadapati, the head monk or somebody, to leave the temple, because not to stay, you have to request to leave. They are so crazy about their place. They are so attached to these properties. Labha Satkara Sloka, there's 3 things Buddha said it should be feared more than the opposite sex. So I thought before that I heard these words, our teacher's last sermon, it says about that. So I thought this Labha Satkara Sloka is just this you can easily get away with. No, it is even more difficult than refraining from sex. So when I heard that, I learned many things about Buddhism. So this is a controversial side of the Welama Sutta. There is a greater act than donation of a room or just accommodation to any Sangha coming from various directions. That is taking refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. In other words, becoming a Buddhist is more fruitful, more beneficial than any donations, any karma we have listed before. Why it is so great? Because even it doesn't need any financial expenses. All other donations, we need to have so much of money, gold or whatever assets you need. But to become a follower of Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, you need no money. It is free, but it is very difficult. And because of it is difficult, that is why it is called noble. That is why it is so beneficial. It is difficult. You cannot become a monk. You can become a monk, but you cannot become a Buddhist easily. Until and unless you stop believing things blindly without checking whether it is right or wrong, religion or science or whatever it is, you cannot become a Buddhist. Buddhist is a free thinker.